Dobro horror story.
Have you heard of stealth camping? It is a trend where people sleep in their cars in remote places, trying to remain invisible to the world, like a ghost. I hate crowded campsites, so I always look for remote areas that are not even on the map. Especially in winter, frozen reservoirs are a favorite spot. That absolute silence, the feeling of being completely cut off from the world is like a drug to some. But on that day, one man did not know that this disconnection would turn into a terrible isolation where no one could help him. This is the story of Park Jun-woo, a 32-year-old office worker living in Paju, and what he experienced in 5-degree weather last week. To protect his identity, we are using a pseudonym. From this point on, I will step into Park Jun-woo's shoes and tell you exactly what he remembers. It was well past midnight when I arrived. It was pitch black, with only my headlights cutting through the darkness. I drove down a bumpy, unpaved road that wasn't even on the navigation system for a long time before I finally reached the shoulder of the reservoir. Skreek! As soon as I pulled the handbrake and killed the engine, all sound in the world vanished, as if someone had pulled the plug. With the engine's vibration gone, the chill of the reservoir began to creep into the car. I opened the door, and a wind like a knife blade, 5 degrees Fahrenheit, slapped my cheek. Oh, it is cold, freezing. It was the kind of weather where my breath froze white as soon as it came out. I hurriedly folded the back seats flat and rolled out my thick winter sleeping bag. I popped 5 heat packs I had brought and stuffed them inside the bag, and meticulously attached insulation mats to the windows. I created a perfect sealed room so that no one from the outside could tell if there was a person inside or not. After finishing the preparations, I burrowed into the sleeping bag, and soon a warm heat began to circulate. Outside was a bitter cold where it felt like no living thing could survive, but the fact that I was lying warmly separated by just this thin sheet of metal gave me a strange sense of relief. I thought about turning on my smartphone, but there was no signal in this area anyway. Perfect. I am truly alone. I muttered that to myself and closed my eyes. The only sounds were occasional crackings of the reservoir ice. Otherwise, it was a night of perfect peace. Sleep poured over me. I fell into a deep slumber. That is, exactly until 2 a.m., when that alien sound pierced my ears. Tap, tap. At first, I thought it was a dream, or I thought it was just a tree branch hitting the car body in the wind. I tossed and turned, trying to ignore it. But a moment later, I heard it again. This time, it was clearer and more intentional. Tap, tap, tap. My heart sank. This was not a branch. It was the sound of human knuckles tapping on the car glass, a very dry, hard sound. My mind went blank. What time is it? 2 a.m. This is a mountain reservoir with no streetlights. In this place where there are no houses and it is hard to even drive into, at this hour there is a person? It makes no sense. Is it a wild animal? Did a deer bump into the car? I tried to rationalize it and pulled the sleeping bag zipper up to my chin. I covered my mouth in case even my breathing could be heard, and listened intently. Please go away. Please tell me I heard wrong. But as if mocking my wish, the sound continued persistently. This time, it wasn't a knocking sound. Scrape, scrape. It sounded like a palm slowly sliding down the cold glass window. The subtle sound of fabric rubbing against glass scratched my eardrums. Goosebumps rose all over my body. It was certain that someone was standing right next to my car, trying to look inside. And then I heard an unbelievable sound. "Please, open." It was a person, and a young woman at that. Her mouth was frozen from the cold, so her pronunciation was slurred, and the sound of her teeth chattering was clearly mixed in. It was a begging voice. "Please, open the door. It is so cold. Please." The conflict began. Is she a distress victim? Was there an accident nearby? If she stays outside in this weather, she will freeze to death in 10 minutes. Should I open the door? But my instinct screamed at me like crazy. Do not open it. This situation itself makes no sense. I decided to open the insulation mat gap just a tiny bit, with a trembling hand to check the side mirror. The moonlight was so bright that the side of the car was clearly visible. Gulp. I swallowed dry saliva and put my eye to the gap. There was no one. Just white fog, but no one was next to the car. I rubbed my eyes and looked again, thinking I saw it wrong, but it was just an empty snowy field. But the crazy thing is, the voice was still audible. "Help me, the door." And it wasn't far away. It was right next to my head, separated only by a single pane of glass.
It's a ghost. This is 100% a ghost. I panicked with fear. Cold sweat poured down like rain, and my heart felt like it was going to explode, so I couldn't even breathe properly. "Please, the door!" The sound became more pitiful and closer. I covered my ears and curled up. But it was then. A very dull and heavy impact sound shook the entire car. Thump, thump. It wasn't tapping on glass. It wasn't a sound coming from outside. That vibration was coming from under my feet. No, to be exact, it was coming from behind the back seat, from the trunk. The moment I heard that dull kicking sound, the frozen circuits in my brain snapped back together. As the confused puzzle pieces fell into place, an emotion other than fear washed over me. Ah, right. I didn't come here alone. That woman wasn't knocking from the outside. She was knocking from the inside, trying to get out. I slowly sat up in my sleeping bag. I wiped the terrified expression off my face and stared at the trunk through the rearview mirror. No wonder the car felt a bit heavy on the way here. The sedative must have worn off already. I took the car keys out of my pocket and fiddled with them. The trembling in my hands had already stopped. I looked out the window and saw that it was still a long time before sunrise. I have checked the thickness of the ice on the reservoir, so now I just need to dig a hole. I whispered low but firmly towards the trunk. Be quiet. The ice hasn't melted yet. Just wait a little longer. Then, like a lie, the noise inside the trunk stopped. Perfect silence returned to the car. The silence I love so much. Outside is still 5 degrees. It is the perfect weather to work.